we are going to talk about what future you would thank current you for doing as an arts marketer for this month in arts marketing. I'm Lynette. This is Megan, Wave Megan, and Melanie. And we are going to give you our top three things that we think future you would thank you for today. So, Megan, let's start with you.
Since I've been thinking about gearing up towards next seasons for anybody that has their season launches in the fall, and because, I'm very focused on digital advertising and stuff like that, what I'm happy with is a lot of clients are wrapping up their budgets right now for next year and kind of coordinating that overlap of between now and if your fiscal year starts July 1 or just getting stuff organized for next season. Like my number one would be budget and breaking it down, not just having that big number, but I have gone through and made sure that my buckets, big to small, are all coordinated to know exactly what I'm spending and when. And then that leads into scheduling things out, meaning that I have been coordinating with holidays, time off, long weekends, whatever is going to be external stuff that influences your calendar, kind of coordinating all of that right now. So that way I know exactly from now until basically this time next year, 12 months worth of what ads go out when, and also working into that, like diversifying our advertising. One of the things we've been talking about so much lately is that if you have been successfully advertising on primarily Meta, up to this point, that starting to break down your budget to other platforms is going to be super helpful in the coming year. And so that's more to coordinate. So again, just kind of like having it all broken down piece by piece. It's not just saying, I'm going to advertise here and this is how much money I have. It's really down to what ad gets launched on what date on what platform.
Talk about your process for that.
Let's say that you know that your marketing budget, let's say that you have like a big, big bucket for marketing. I will then break it down to how many shows you have and how much we want to allocate to each show, while also considering if that marketing budget also goes towards general single ticket sales for the whole season or subscription sales, if you have fundraising programs that you need to advertise for, if you have education, workshop intensive programs that money needs to be allocated for, kind of starting with those big budgets within your marketing budget. Then going into each bucket of those and saying within this show and within this money, I can advertise this much on Meta, this much on Google, this much on Spotify, and hopefully also taking advantage of Google grants on top of all of that, which doesn't have to work its way into your budget, but you get to know is like towards what you're advertising. Then I take, for instance, the Meta budget that we have allocated for advertising, and I look at hopefully 8 weeks before a run opens advertising each week and flipping roughly every 8 days. I like to do every Monday just because it's easy and then break it down from there. But then I get to see how much money gets to be allocated week by week within that show budget. Also, making sure that it's not necessarily split evenly, but based on how large your budget is, kind of keeping it heavy set with money more towards the end. So we're still getting word out, but we're also prioritizing that moment where people are going to be more likely to purchase, which is getting closer and closer to the performance date around the country, around the world. Shout out to one of the clients that I work with too. We are starting to schedule a photo shoot, video shoot for the whole season before any advertising starts for next year. So
Yay!
has that been a conversation years over years? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a hard goal to achieve is to have things so coordinated and so set in stone that you know that you can have content brainstormed and ready to go and the flow of a day set up to have a photo shoot, video shoot, but then we're going to have this like bulk of content before we start advertising for next year. So props
That's
to that
exciting.
client. And also please use that as inspiration because that might not be achievable this year, but it's something to shoot for as soon as possible because it will be so helpful in all of this, all
And it will
content.
make your life, it just makes your life so much easier, you
So
know?
that's something that like future us is going to thank us for, and I'm so excited.
I would start with, and this is almost like a look back, but it will help you in the future, is to, if your season is coming to a close, start pulling your revenue data. Start getting all of your revenue data from this past season together and gathered and all in one place and in a file that you can find and a shareable file that other people can find, well marked. Just get it all nice and organized. So that way you're going to come to a point, usually it happens around June, July, when finance wants reconciliations, and now you've got it all. You went ahead and took care of it. Your season closed and you took care of it, and you're not trying to pull all this together while you're maybe dealing with some sort of summer programming or you're on vacation. So take care of that now. And also give yourself a moment to kind of look at your overall data. We all get really caught up in that moment, that particular production sales or that weekend sales of some sort. But if you look at it holistically, you might see that, hey, this was actually a great season, instead of just being in that one little narrow avenue of thought. So get your data together, start looking at it, see what kind of trends and patterns happen throughout the year, which will then lead into number two, which is decide what kind of data you want to get collected for the next season. So instead of just what you've always been doing, what have you always wanted to try to do as a sales tactic, but you kind of need some data to back that up. So an example would be, this is kind of subscription season for a lot of people right now. And most people are just like, subscriptions on sale, go. And, I have renewals and maybe some new people. So maybe you want to actually have a good, strong acquisition campaign. So start looking at what do your new subscribers do? What are they buying? What kind of package type are they buying? What's their price point? And if you don't know that, start setting yourself up to collect that data now instead of waiting for next year. And then you're at this point next year where you're like, I kind of want to do an acquisition campaign, but I don't know what new people like. And so now you've got it because you've already set yourself up to start collecting that kind of data. It also can help with renewing subscribers. We've got some ideas, and you're welcome to contact us for information on it, on how to take a renewing subscriber, somebody who's subscribed for a long time, and move them up in a level of some sort. So that's you, and you need to start collecting that data now, about what they're purchasing. And this is the nitty gritty, but it's the important nitty gritty to make decisions for next year. My third thing is, start making that summer to-do list. What are the things that you want to try to accomplish this summer when you usually have a bit of a lighter schedule? So that way you are getting into like your opening, then the holidays, and then you've got your massive spring run, and you're like, I wanted to do this and I never got it done. What is it something that you could do right now? And you don't need a massive list of like 20 items. Like, focus on 3 things. What are 3 things you'd like to make sure you get done now? It's something you've always wanted to accomplish, but you can't do it during the season. Some examples would be, a lot of times marketing gets pulled into other departments. I liked to use the summer to focus on outreach programs and get the things that outreach programs needs during the season, because when it comes down to it, they become deprioritized, because most of the time outreach programs are not revenue generating. So you start focusing on your revenue generation during the season. So maybe use the summer to work on things that outreach programs might need.
I think my number one thing that future me would thank me for is if I took the time to go back and look at the strategic plan. And if you don't have a strategic plan, just take 10 minutes and come up with an idea of like where you would like to be in 5 years as an organization or an artist or a cultural institution or any of those things. Hopefully your board has a strategic plan. And then how can marketing support that? Like, what things can you do this upcoming year, whatever that may be, and how do you lay the step one groundwork for that now? And my number 2 is take a vacation. Future me will be thankful if I got time off. Time off to me is not with your laptop on a beach. I know it feels like you can't leave. Put someone else in charge and say, like, if everything, all hell breaks loose, that person will contact you. But any other thing, like just leave it. I know I need to walk the walk, right? I can talk the talk, but I don't walk the walk. As you both laugh.
Yes.
But I do recognize, like in the middle of our, our big client season, I start to feel the fact that I didn't take the time off that I should have taken off, just for everybody to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Especially now when we're getting like all kinds of an onslaught of like different information and things are shifting and, policies and stuff in the country. And it can be very stressful because you don't know what's going to happen. Future you will thank you for taking a break. Something really easy and simple, like Mel says, like having water next to her desk.
My brain literally just went to like keeping candy or treats or something on your desk. It doesn't have to be like gallons of it, but I think keeping a little treat just so in that moment where you're like, I need 10 seconds of happiness. You're like, oh yeah, I have jelly beans next to me or I have chocolate next to me. I think that would be great.
What I need to do, and I know future me would appreciate it, is to remember to like periodically get up and move throughout the day, right? It's just like, and maybe set a little reminder. All of a sudden, 4 hours have passed, and I'm like, what has happened?
Future me would thank me if I remember to eat on a regular basis. Because I will look down, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock. And I didn't eat lunch yet because I get caught
Current me is not thanking myself for getting a puppy a couple months ago, but that is one thing that the puppy is good for is I now have to go outside with her
Yeah.
47 times a day.
Okay.
So
But future you will thank current you when your puppy is is actually out of the puppy stage and is like all snuggly and your best friend and
yep.
like so much fun to have around.
Yes. Cannot wait for that moment.
Thanks everybody for giving our video a watch. We hope you found it entertaining and maybe had a couple of great takeaways for you to plan for the future you. And if you need any help or assistance with your marketing, with your to-do list, or with future planning, Confluence is here to help. We've got all sorts of great options for all sorts of budget sizes, whether you're an individual artist or even a larger organization. So follow us, look up our information, and give us a ring.